Good morning, good afternoon, and evening, baseball fans. This is Carl. Welcome back to the Barstool Baseball Power Rankings show. I am joined by a panel of experts. Chris Klemmer and Klemmer Castellani, our editor-in-chief, Hubs, is out on assignment this weekend. Boys, good to see you.
Yeah,
Great to yeah.
Well,
Oh, shit. Damn it.
somewhat happy to be back. I spent the weekend watching my Mets get annihilated by the Rockies, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, and then you spent the week watching the Rockies get annihilated by the Tigers. So yeah, that was we'll definitely be talking about that at some point. But it's good to be back here, man. A very interesting week in baseball. There were some really neat series going on. I think that this is a week where we're starting to see, and we'll talk about it with the power rankings, a few teams that maybe got off to some crazy hot starts starting to regress back to the mean a little bit. We're over a month in now. We're starting to, and it takes more time, decipher the contenders from the pretenders here in the first half of the season.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to get through that. This is the part of the Monday show, or part of the programming that we separate. I guess the men from the boys is the same. We can still say that shit. Some other housekeeping notes. We had the Friday AL show and Wednesday NL shows are out. The Friday show got delayed because people didn't know it was going to get scheduled, so I totally fucked that up. So this is our first week of like official programming. So we're going to do power rankings today. We'll break down some stuff at the end, and then National League stuff Wednesday, American League stuff on Friday. I'm trying to keep that as simple as possible.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Klemmer, I said last week you look good. You do look like shit this week. As you alluded to, we're going to talk about that later. Our batting order for...
It's been a week, man. It's been a fucking week.
Bad. Batting order this week, I think we're doing still an order of win percentage. I think it's Chris goes first, Klemmer second, and I'm third.
It's not in order of anything. I don't know. I don't know anymore. The Mets used to be good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're right. I think it's like a reverse winning percentage. I think you're right, Carl. I think it is that way.
Okay, so we have Castellani 1, Klemmer 2, me 3. I mean, fuck. We should have the Tampa Rays sponsor this show at this point.
I know that's the one downside of going one is who you're gonna pick at this point. But I wanted to add a little bit more to that because for people who are listening to this now, the Rays down 6-0 with Garrett Cole on the mound, who's been nails, came back and won today in a walk off in extra innings by former Tiger Isaac Paredes. Of course, continues to show how lopsided that Austin Meadows trade was. But the Rays are entering, and I know it's crazy to say this about a team that is 30-plus games into their season. The Rays are entering that territory where if they don't win it this year, they might never do it. Because I
hate that.
Hear me out.
You're a young guy.
Yeah, the word never is a good word.
I mean, never with this core. By that, like because the vibes I'm getting are that of the 2016 Cubs, where it's like the guys that you have been building up with, your McClanahans, your Rosarenas, your Francos, they are now entering their primes. And go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, my big argument would be if Wander Franco is signed till 2033 at I think a max $19 million a year. They've never spent money. They could get a new stadium in the time frame there. Rosarena's electric. The bigger the moment gets, the better he is. So, I do get your sense, though, that baseball's so competitive, too. If you look at what the Orioles are doing and we're going to get to some other teams, too, obviously. But maybe you're just pulling at my heartstrings, too, with that Cubs comment.
Well, maybe it's more of a vibe thing, though, as opposed to talent. Because, we knew after 16 the Cubs weren't going anywhere, and I'm sure the Rays aren't going anywhere either. But when you watch the way that they've won games and the moments that they've already had up to this point this season, to be a champion, you do have to have the stars align for you to a certain extent. They're doing, outside of the Jeffrey Springs injury, they're doing that. They're winning in walk-offs. They're winning in blowouts. Their pitching has been lights out. And unlike, I think I've talked about this before. There's been this perception with the Rays, I feel like in the past, that they're kind of this, this jump, upstart, little team that good. There's legitimate superstars on this team. Rosarena and Franco are as good at their positions as almost anyone right now. Franco's still got a ways to go, but man, he's good. And of course, you have McClanahan in that filthy bullpen. They're off to a magical start. And what's cool to see, honestly, for a ballpark that is ripped to shreds seemingly on a nightly basis, there's people going to Tropicana. There is a different feeling with this team, and they've been good. They had the best record in the American League 2 years ago, but the way things are going for them right now, there is just a different energy. It seems like no matter the deficit, they can find a way to win. They're always going to throw somebody at you who's going to throw hard. I think that they're on some kind of roll right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you said there, Chris. But the idea that this is kind of like a, the last chance for the Rays.
Yeah,
I think that's
I
crazy.
probably worded it wrong. Yeah,
they've made the playoffs the last 4 years. Every year they're really good. I think because they're playing Tampa Bay, they're in that shitty ballpark. We always kind of, I don't know, I'd probably do it myself. You look at the Yankees, you look at maybe the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and you kind of forget about the Rays, or you maybe undervalue them. They've been fucking nails every single year, and honestly, this year they're beyond that. They've leveled up. They're frighteningly good.
They did something this offseason they typically don't do. They signed Zach Eflin. They made a relatively it's not a major, but Zach Eflin is a very talented pitcher. He's a 4-pitch mix guy. The Phillies a high ceiling. Could not really, I don't know, maybe injury issues, confidence issues, moving through multiple pitches. Since he's gone to the Rays, he's been awesome. They basically had him ditch his changeup and his 4-seam. I think he's strictly cutter, 2-seam sinker, throwing the shit out of his cutter, which is like a newer pitch. There's some speculation, like why would they spend that much money? What do they know we don't? His numbers are outstanding. He's got 3 walks, I want to say, in maybe 28 or 29 innings, more than 9.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's just getting, no one's going to talk about, it'll be like mid-July and you'll see that he's 11-2 with a 2.4 ERA. And you'll say, wait a second, that's the guy who is a fringe Phillies starter that they, ended up getting rid of so they could get Taijuan Walker. So that's just a perfect dynamic of the magic the Rays have. And it's not just like magic. Yeah. They know exactly what they're doing. Their pitch design is excellent. They've been on the forefront of developing stuff. Read a great article about sweepers today in Baseball Prospectus and just kind of the development on how that can get around barrels and bats. And there's no doubt about it. The Rays are ahead of this stuff. And maybe it's honestly just the precipice of this dominant 162 wagon that wins 105 games every single season. Like maybe we're just seeing how good they can be.
Yeah, that's scary to think about if this is like the beginning of that era. Because you brought it up, Klemmer. It's like and we got a long ways to go. Let's say they win the division this year. That's 3 out of 4 years in which they've come out on top. And last year, if not for Judge putting up 62 home runs and the Rays being horribly unlucky with injuries, they might have won it last year. Like, this is no longer a small sample size. Like, they are the team that the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Blue Jays have to look at every single year and say, how can we compete with them?
I hated the F1 signing when it happened. I'm like, this guy's mid. This is just a team that's too cheap to go and get the right guy. So they're going to get this average guy. And once again, the Rays proved me wrong. By the way, me being wrong is going to be a common thread for the next 35 minutes here. But the Zach Eflin thing has been gangbusters. The Rays are so much smarter than everybody else. I don't know if it's one guy in there that's so bright. If they put together the right group of, I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they are playing in a different league right now.
Yeah, it's an assembly line production.
All right, who we got for number 2? Klemmer, you're up.
It's me, yeah. I mean, this is a pretty easy one. I think 1 and 2 at this point are chalk. Number 2 is the Braves. The Braves are, just destroying the National League. Not as dominant, maybe, as the Rays are. I mean, the Rays were 84 Tigers, 35-5, good. They're 28-7 now. But the Braves are 24-11. They're 7 games up already in the NL East. Everyone said, it's going to be a big battle between, my Mets and the Braves and the Phillies. And no, it's the Braves just hammering. They've won 7 of their last 10. They pitch better than anybody else. They can hit better than anybody else in the National League. I don't know. I'm terrified of the Braves. I see them in my schedule. It's like, all right, well, I hope we can win, one of those 3 games. The Braves are fantastic again. It's funny. We talk about the Rays, and now we're talking about the Braves. And both organizations are kind of doing it in similar fashion. They both have kind of similar, peaks, and they kind of, I know the Braves obviously won a World Series, but the Rays have won a pennant a couple years ago. Like, these teams, I think, not only are they good, the frightening thing is they're getting better.
Yeah. No, I know it's scary, and getting better, much like similar to the Astros, getting better while also losing top tier talent, year in and year out. I mean, you lose Freeman 2 years ago. You actually improve your win total. You lose Dansby this year. You kind of come into the year with a massive question mark at shortstop, and they haven't missed a beat. They know what they're doing there. That Orioles series was fantastic. I mean, that felt like that was a playoff atmosphere at Truist. Yeah, they just keep rolling. Acuna's back doing his thing. Rotation's coming along. Bryce Elder's been surprisingly very good for them as well. So yeah,
Sean Murphy is already going to be the starting catcher in the All-Star game. I mean, the All-Star voting hasn't even been, ballots haven't even come out yet. I don't care. Throw him away, or at least cross off the National League catcher. It's Sean Murphy. It's not even close. He's destroying the ball, and he's amazing defensively. I don't know.
When that trade happened, my initial reaction was, man, is Sean Murphy, is he that good? Yeah, he is. Yeah, Sean Murphy is that good. He's been a killer for him. Yeah.
I like the pick. There's my analysis. I do. I like the pick.
I mean, if you didn't like it, I'd call you, I'd make fun of your intelligence, Carl. Like, I mean, this is 1 and 2 is so obvious. Like, I mean, I'd be throwing Forrest Gump jokes at you, and if you didn't like the pick.
And the Atlanta Braves, it's just such a repeatable program. It's almost, it's just such a factory. You bring up a guy like Bryce Elder. He's
both of these teams, both the Rays and Braves are, and it's funny, they're both in the same region. But they both seem to be building it, like Chris was saying, kind of similar ways. I don't know. Those two teams are, right now in Major League Baseball, those two teams are the teams that every other baseball team should look at on how to build a team. They have great managers. They're doing everything right. And even like the Wander Franco thing from this week when he kind of threw the ball up in the air, kind of, I don't know. They handled that the right way. I felt like maybe they discussed in the clubhouse. I don't know what happened, but that shows you that's probably the right thing, that we don't know what really happened in that clubhouse. Yeah. I don't know. These two teams impressed the shit out of me.
I feel like there's you brought it up earlier. I think there's a steep drop between 2 and 3. Right.
Oh, huge.
All right. So then before we get to 3 through 9, then I'll ask you guys, let's just go around. World Series today, who wins? Braves or Rays?
Klemmer, you go first.
I guess I'd go with the Braves, only just because I just trust their starting pitching in the playoffs a little bit more. Then again, look what happened last year. like I said, me being wrong is going to be a trend. I would go honestly, it's a coin toss. Who knows? They're both so damn good. We'd be lucky to get one of those teams in the World Series, much less both.
I'm with you for the same reasons. I just like the depth of the Braves starting rotation a little bit more right now. I think now Glass comes back healthy and shoves, might be a different story, but right now, like the Braves rotation.
All right. Shout out Luke Raley, by the way. I think the OPS is still over 900. We're keeping an eye on that. It was a career sub 600 OPS, 28-year-old, like nobody from nowhere. Got to spring training this year, has been absolutely raking ever since. That's back to the Rays. Why am I talking about the Rays? We just got done talking about the Braves. Now it's my pick. I have a choice of teams. I'm going to take a safer bet here. Although there's a team so hot, you have to sit and wait. I'm taking the Baltimore Orioles. Yep. The reason that I just convinced that they should be 3 is the bullpen. We've talked a lot. We had RDT on, go listen to the feed. We had RDT on talk about like the dynamic of the lineup, and there's a lot of obvious things to like about the Orioles. They're young and they keep playing better and all this bullshit. And it's really, the bullpen's amazing. And that's what would give me confidence in a 7-game series right now. And they just continue to play well. I know they lost a series with the Braves, but they played them tough on a Sunday in a rubber match. Just like everything you see with the Orioles, and a repeatable thing with them is they can continue to get better because they're young and they've got momentum and they're building from what they built last year. So we like the Orioles very much here this week at number 3.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I think that watching them go up against the Braves, and I know they lost 2 out of 3, but it was a coin flip game, basically each ball game, if not going to extra innings. The Orioles, if there's any team with the resources right now, if the season goes the way I think it will, to make a splash and trade for a Dylan Cease, it's them. Because I think that's the reason why I think there is a steep drop between 2 and 3 is as good as the Orioles are, and I love that lineup. I think it's one of the nastiest lineups to deal with in the entire sport. I just don't see them making a deep run through October with Kyle Gibson.
Why are people on drugs talking about trading Dylan Cease? He's not a free agent until 2026.
Because the team's not going. There's been rumors about the White Sox blowing the whole thing up. That's why.
Okay. Is that like maybe Rick Hahn's way of getting out? We don't need to talk too much about the White Sox. I just see the name Dylan Cease pop up in these trade. Guys, he's going to be a free agent. He's got 3.5 more seasons.
It'd be totally based more so on the team he's playing for right now. I mean, I think if the White Sox are 10 games under 500 at the deadline with this core, I mean, what else can you do except blow it up again? I mean, you're not going to win 20 more games next season bringing back the same guys.
I look at more as maybe instead of Cease dialing back, maybe you look at Giolito.
Gio, yeah.
Like that to me is a natural. So let me just run these quick numbers at you guys real quick. And this is why I don't think the Orioles. I had the Orioles actually at 5.
Okay.
But here's why I don't think the Orioles could be in trouble. Kyle Gibson, 4.61 ERA.
Yeah.
Dean Kramer, 5.80. Grayson Regis, 5.46. Kyle Bradish, 5.95. And then Tyler Wells, 3.34. They have the 11th best ERA in the American League. That's not great. The Orioles have, unlike the teams we've talked about with the Rays, the Braves, a couple other teams, but we have yet to talk about, the Orioles have a major weakness. That bullpen's very good. I love their manager doing a great job.
Yeah.
Hyde's great. My problem is that starting rotation, I have no faith in it. Zero. I don't know if you can slug your way to October the entire season. Having said that, they're 22-11 going into today. We're 22-12 now. So they're doing it, but can they do it for 162?
Yeah, and another pitcher as well that might be on the market that could be a gamble because he has an opt-out, but who right now is legitimately pitching at a Cy Young level, Eduardo Rodriguez. He's been the best pitcher in baseball the last month. He has an opt-out after this year. He's a lefty who would be going to a park in Baltimore that is now a pitcher's park. I think that could be a tremendous value. They have a deep farm system. That could be something that works out for both sides if they want to, play with the Tigers a little bit.
Yep. All right, so we're pretty. You had him at 5. I still like him at 3. I'm sorry.
I had him at 3 as well.
Okay. I had him at 5. So all right, that's fine.
Rays, Braves, Orioles. Let's get to the 4th pick. Before we do, though, the Orioles have obviously one of the best catchers, if not best players in baseball. Let's talk about one of the best players of all time, the greatest catcher of all time, Yogi Berra. Now, this next pick in the rest of the Power Rankings panel is brought to you by Sony Picture Classics, guys. This is a big deal. This is our first brand partner with Barstool Baseball. And It Ain't Over is coming out on May 12th in the New York tri-state area in Los Angeles. We've got a chance to look at it behind the scenes, and I don't want to say too much. This is such an unbelievably good baseball movie, and in a category of greats, like baseball has the best sports movies. Touching shit because I'm a huge Yogi Berra fan. Did you know he's like 4th all time in pennants?
Yeah. No, I didn't know he had 3 MVPs when I watched the trailer. I didn't know it was that good.
He's awesome. This is great. Let's go, Yogi Berra. The guy has 2 hands of rings. 10 rings. War hero. Yogi Berra is the greatest. The greatest catcher ever. I love Piazza. I put Berra ahead of him. He's my favorite. He's the best catcher ever.
There was a 13-year run where New York teams went to the pennant, and he had won like 11 of them. Between 1947 and 1985, he went to like 20-something World Series. Have you looked at his power numbers versus strikeout numbers? Chris, just take like a wild guess how like his average strikeout total in the prime of his career, like average strikeout season,
like per season.
Yeah, we'll just say in like the dead sweet spot.
Back in the day, 65.
Try 20. Try 22
in a season.
Oh, dude, he had one season where he had 12 strikeouts, 28 homers. He had 12 strikeouts and a 915 OPS. This is 1950. Like I know people like to talk trash about old school baseball, but this is like well after guys are established to be thrown in the 90s. Yeah. Like we're not talking about like old ragtime 1870 guys aren't wearing gloves. Like 1950, the guys are playing baseball, fellas.
Yeah.
So the Yankees were great from 47 to, they had Joe DiMaggio, right? But Joe DiMaggio retired in 51. Mickey Mantle was a rookie in 51. It took a couple years to get going. The reason those Yankee teams were so good from 47 to 64 consistently, that bridge player was Yogi Berra. He won 3 MVPs in the 50s, all from 50, 54, 55. But he was the glue that kept those teams competitive. Casey Stengel loved him. Yogi Berra is, like I said, he's the greatest catcher who ever lived. Full stop.
Wow.
So you guys can check out the movie, obviously.
It looks awesome. It legitimately does. I love the trailer. Yeah.
They have everyone you'd want. It's a documentary. They have everyone you want in there. Ron Guidry, Don Mattingly, Bob Costas, Billy Crystal. They have his granddaughter, who's very knowledgeable baseball, Lindsay. They have an all-star panel of people talking about Yogi Berra. It just looks incredible. I can't wait to see it. I'm a big movie guy. I love a good documentary, and my favorite catcher. This is a slam dunk for me.
Awesome.
It Ain't Over. All right, it's only in theaters starting May 12th, New York tri-state area and Los Angeles. It's also coming soon to a theater near you. Expansion after that. Find showtimes at tickets.itaintovermovie.com. Showtimes at tickets.itaintovermovie.com. Klemmer will go watch it with one of you guys. We'll figure out a way to do that. Because if it's in the New York tri-state area, we'll set up a watch. When is it? May 12th? I'll come out there.
If it's playing in the city, maybe you two idiots can come watch it with me. It'd be great.
All right, we're going to go watch it. All right.
We should. You guys are coming to New York at the end of the month.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there for dozen. Yeah.
Right.
No spoilers, guys. Good match come up. All right, we're back to the power ranking panel. Thank you, Sony Picture Classics.
Yes, thank you
for being our first brand partner and doing it in such a way with the Yogi Berra doc. We're to the 4th pick. We're gonna put the pitch clock on. Let's get moving. Who's got the 4th pick?
I do. Yep. It's a team that I don't think has been on this list yet. Bizarrely, and you'd think that they would be regularly in the top 5. They are, I believe, 10-3 in their last 13 games. They're back to playing their typical baseball. And it's the Los Angeles Dodgers, 20-14 right now. This will be a running theme the deeper we get into the season. I can't stand the way the Dodgers manage games in the postseason. Like going every October, that's a problem with me. I think but besides that, as a regular season group, I feel like we kind of take them for granted. There's 3 first ballot Hall of Famers on this team, and they have a ton of Hall of really good guys and all-stars. They just continue to get it done. I like the way the Diamondbacks are playing. They may come up on this list later, but let's be real. Unless the Padres get hot, which they should do at some point, it's going to be the Dodgers division again if they stay rolling like this. Guys are playing well. Some strangely good performances out of the bullpen this year. Shelby Miller, who I didn't know was even in professional baseball anymore, having a really good season out of the pen for them. That's another team that just finds guys. Kershaw's been great. Dustin May's been excellent. They've turned a corner here, and they're back to playing Dodger baseball.
Yeah, I mean, just got Tony Gonsolin back. He's big. He's a great starter for them. Dustin May, he's leveled up. Yeah. Obviously, you have Kershaw. Now, Kershaw, is he going to make 32 starts this year? Probably not. So, you have to account for that. But, Urias, I don't think he's peaked yet. Like, for this season, he's not, that team is, I think, ready to go. They were my number 3. I think the Dodgers are like you said, Chris, like they've gone like 10-3 their last 13. Like they're rolling. Just get out of the way. They're going to win 100 games. We know that. They won, 111 last year. They're going to win 100 games. Postseason, maybe a different story. We'll talk about it then. But for right now, great pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to shout out Max Muncy, who could be probably in the top 3 MVP candidate if we did it right now. A statistic that's a great measurement is isolated power, which is essentially slugging minus singles. So to just get a measurement of what frequency they hit for extra bases. And like a measurement of 170 is pretty good. For context, the Tampa Rays have like a 270 team. So Max Muncy's 381. He's second in baseball behind Brent Rooker, who's a player we will never talk about on this show because it's the Power Rankings panel, and he's a I guess outfielder all over, whatever you want to call it, for the Oakland A's. But we're talking about Max Muncy right now. The walk rate at 20% is just substantial. Insane, so it's like he's not, when he is swinging, it's going for power. Average 226. You take that. That's the trade you're taking, right? If you're going to be a 3 outcome player, the average has to hover up. You have to you have to provide the power. It's almost like a very, very good version of Joey Gallo at his best right now. So Max Muncy, shout out. Let's get to, they play tonight too at the time of recording. So this is like the one game we look like idiots. I do like them a lot. And honestly, the fact they didn't go out and spend that much money, I know they got to shed their payroll a little bit. Everybody says they're going for Ohtani, but this is good for the rest of these guys to step up and get these reps, because a lot of these at-bats, they do a good job of making sure guys get over 300 plate appearances a year. And
they have such a great depth. They lose Gavin Lux. Yeah. All right, well then next man up. They got Miguel Rojas. It isn't. This team is stacked. They're great. They are fantastic. Want my number 5?
I would love it if you want to give it to me, Klemmer.
Okay, I'll give it to you, Carl. People can clip that and have fun with it. Texas Rangers. This team is for real. Of course, like I said, me saying that might have just cursed them. But let's look at their runs. 205 runs, 128 runs allowed. That's a pith of 22-10. They are very good. They have Bruce Bochy. We talk about him every week on this show. Obviously, the DeGrom injury is concerning. But look at the rest of this team. Josh Jung, killing it right now. 517 slugging. Jonah Heim, a 568 slugging. Another great catcher. Adley, Heim, Sean Murphy. We have some pretty good catchers in baseball after going through a stretch where it was a little bit not a lot of depth there. And then the pitching staff, Martin Perez, another banging year, Nathan Eovaldi. And then no one manages that bullpen any better. The Rangers are I had them number 4, but I'll take them at 5 here.
Yeah. Yeah, I tweeted this out last night. For a guy who in the last 5 calendar years has been a postseason hero multiple times, made an all-star team, and just got like a nice, healthy contract, nobody talks about Nathan Eovaldi. I feel like Nathan Eovaldi is strangely, like, severely underrated as a pitcher. I know, like, he now that he's been back from injury for a few years and he's more durable, like, I've always liked him. Stuff is filthy. Like, when he's commanding the zone, as he has his last 2 starts, 17 consecutive scoreless innings, that team can be really dangerous, and I love their lineup.
I think there's ERA above 3.87 since the pandemic. I know that's not like that shocking number, but just to show you, he's consistently good. He's never great, but he's always good.
Sorry,
Carl.
I would just say about Eovaldi is what might hold him back is just the perception of how good he can be. So even when he's pretty good, you're like, well, I wish it was like this all the time. Or,
I mean, he's 33 now. I mean, he's not going to get, I don't think,
better
than he is right now. So I think it's time just to accept him for being a really good pitcher, which is a pretty good thing to be.
Yeah, the best he'll ever be was that postseason run in 2018, where he was their best pitcher.
I might get shit on for this one.
Okay.
I don't really have a choice, though, because they're just so hot. They've won 8 in a row. Their pitching's trash. But, like, how do I not put the Red Sox 6 right now?
I'm with you.
And I should maybe it's just
that winning streak snapped.
So okay. So I mean,
they lost today to the Phillies.
It's like God damn it, Klemmer. I meant to say that they lost 6-1 to the Phillies today.
But until then they
lost
were rolling,
6-1
honestly,
to the Phillies today.
Carl, they were my number 6.
They lost 6-1 to the Phillies today. 21 wins, guys. 8-1 over the last 9 after a loss to the Phillies today. The pitching isn't good. I have to say that up front before we talk about any of this stuff. And the rest of the lineup, honestly, season composites are not great, which has to be just so encouraging as a Red Sox fan if you've gutted it out. I mean, they really haven't been the most positive bunch. Now, lately they have been for obvious reasons. And if they've turned a corner, I need to get a fraction of help on the pitching staff at all. They're at the bottom of the American League in nearly every category. But they paid Devers. He's so good. I don't know if you could pay him enough money. That's how much I like Rafi Devers.
Wow.
I have to put him 6, and I owe an apology to the Red Sox Nation because I've talked just a lot of, you should be embarrassed. But
we all did.
I did the most.
I still contend their opening day roster was as subpar as I've seen a Red Sox team in a long time. Now, I also felt that way 2 years ago, and they made it to the ALCS. So, there could be that weird vibe with them again, where I wondered with that team that whole season how, and they got within 2 games of the World Series. I think the division is a lot tougher, but they're getting good production. I mean, I feel like Yoshida turning it on the way he has was like almost the moment the entire season turned around. Like that was just the good vibes that they needed at Fenway. They're solid enough defensive team. One player I've liked for a long time, and it's like he'll always have a target on his back because of the trade he was in. I think Alex Verdugo is a really good ball player, and he's been clutch for them. He's got a 908 OPS right now. So yeah, there's some good juju there. I think all of us will question the sustainability, but they just won 7 in a row, man. And several of those games on the road. They've been playing really well.
Fenway's hard to play too. Yeah.
I wrote blog after blog after blog all winter about how the Red Sox are going to be terrible this year. I thought they were going to lose 90 games. I'm wrong. I mean, I can't say else. I'm wrong. Yoshida's been great. Verdugo has been all-star level. I thought of him almost like a 4th outfield on a really good team going into the season. He's been great. They have some weird giant holes. Like Tristan Casas at first base has been terrible. Their starting pitching, like Carl mentioned, has been atrocious. The bullpen's been very good. They are getting James Paxton back next Saturday. Now, he hasn't pitched since Castellani was in diapers. So
I was going to say, man, it's been a minute.
I don't know what they're gonna get from him. But he's just another arm. You got to like the idea that they can go out there and maybe throw somebody else out there. Bello, he had been struggling, had a really good start his last time out. They obviously have really high hopes for him. The Red Sox are maybe the most intriguing team on this list. I don't really understand how they're doing it entirely, but they're doing it.
Yeah, I feel like they have easily the lowest floor of any of the teams that we're going to mention.
If you told me Chris Sale would have a 6.37 ERA, and the Red Sox with 21-15. I would say you're crazy.
And he's still maturing. He's still maturing, guys. I'm saying into the fourth quarter. All right, who's got?
Yeah, I think we're in OT at this point.
Who's got 7?
7 would be back to me. I am going to go, and I had the Red Sox right around there as well. I'm going to go with another team that just played a first place group and beat them up pretty bad. That's the Toronto Blue Jays. I like what I saw out of the Blue Jays this week because we know how good that lineup is. What is frustrating is about them as a team is every time I watch them, I just feel like they should be better than they are. It seems like the rotation is starting to come around a little bit. Manoah's a little bit better. Barrios a little bit better. Bassett was fantastic in his last start. I was never that concerned about him. I've always liked Bassett. So, they're a team with a very, very high ceiling, but they'll do shit like they'll play really well, and then Gausman has a start where he gives up 7 runs against the Red Sox. They'll be rolling, and then they'll lose like 2 out of 3 at home against a bad team. If they can get on some sort of consistent roll, they're still a team that's capable, with what they have in the farm system of making some big moves at the deadline and making a push for that division. But, just got to stay a little bit more consistent. But they had a very good week, went to PNC and played the Pirates really tough.
Yeah,
I think that, I'm sorry, I did have a quick.
I was going to say the Blue Jays are like Zach said, or Chris said, like kind of, you don't really know what to make of them. They're always good. You expect them to be great. Yeah. This is a big week for them, though. They start off, I think they finished the week against the Braves. They start the week off against the Phillies. So the Phillies are pretty decent. I know they haven't really shown yet, but Bryce Harper's back. Yeah, that's a competitive week for them. We'll see how it looks at the end of that. One guy that just never gets enough pub is Bo Bichette. He's led the league in hits the last 2 seasons. I mean, this guy has he's only 25. He's on a Hall of Fame track. He's batting 326 this year. Guess what? He's leading the league in hits this year. Just Bo Bichette. I feel like he doesn't get enough attention for how good he is.
Dude,
I was going to give it to him off the top. I was just going to say real quick, Bo Bichette's on pace to lead the league in hitting for 3. So I'll pivot to my ancillary point about the Blue Jays. I cannot understand Barrios because the numbers don't match. Like his performances, if you look, he's got 2 bad starts. He had a horrible opening day start against, not opening day, but a first start of the year against Kansas City Royals. Since then, though, he's had some very good starts. If you take out his 2 worst starts through the other 7 starts, I think it's like a 2.6 ERA or something. But that's a name that casually will say like, oh, he'll never get to his potential. But I think when he takes the mound, I see the guy who can pitch to a 2.6 ERA. I don't see the guy who gets rocked by the Royals. It's
not a matter of stuff. I mean, he's always had that really good late life in the fastball and that slurve that he throws. Like I've always been waiting for him to break out. Hopefully he finds it again because I know he's a good pitcher.
I am very concerned about Jose Barrios. He signed for the next 5 years at big money, $17 million a year plus each year. His K rate is way down compared to how he was with the Twins. I don't like all those home runs he gives up, obviously. He led the league in hits and earned runs last year. Jose Barrios, if you're a big fan of career trends, I am. He is going the wrong way.
But he's been better his last few starts.
Great. How about the last couple of years? What are we doing here? I mean, Barrios was a trash bag last year.
He was awful last year. Yeah,
and this year he's got a 4.91 ERA. Now you can say, "Oh, he's got the stopper. Why hasn't it come together?" He has rolls a couple good starts together, but I don't know, man. I'm starting, and I loved him in Minnesota. I thought that was a great trade the Blue Jays made. I don't know, man. I'm starting to get real. If I'm a Blue Jays fan, I'm scared.
I think it comes in bunches is what I think. It's like the back-to-back hits and stuff getting strung together. I mean, I'm looking now. He's got his lowest home run rate since he came to the league at 23.
Higher strike. His FIP is 329. I mean, it seems like he's had some bad luck on balls put in play. And you're right about the K rate. It is down compared to where it was in Minnesota, but it's up substantially from last season. 7.8 last year. It's 9.1 this year. So, I mean, like I get what you're saying because, no, I was ready to give up on him too. But it seems like, he's one of those pitchers who by the end of the season, it could be, look like what he usually looks like on that Baseball Reference page. But we'll see.
He's 29 years old too. 29, guys. Keep an open mind, open heart about these guys. 29.
29? You kind of are what you are. I mean,
come on. He has another gear to get to.
I hope you're right. I like him. I don't like when guys regress before they're 30. Like when, guys go up and then start to go down before they're 30, I get a little anxious. Is that crazy? Is
Oh, God bless you, Klemmer. Okay, so we're comfortable here with the Blue Jays at 7,
That's exactly where I had him.
even though they got swept by the Red Sox to open up the week in a 4-gamer. Number 8.
Yeah, I have the Twins here. This is honestly, I'll be honest with you guys, this was throwing darts on a dartboard here. It could have landed on a number of different teams. When I do these power rankings, I do it based on 2 categories. I look at it like, who would I least want my team to play, and who do I think has the best chance of winning the World Series? And that latter reason is why I'm taking the Twins. They have a lead in their division of a couple games, which is it's early May. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And they played pretty consistent baseball. My problem is they cannot put the ball in play. They have a 225 team batting average. I'm a little nervous about their offense. But all in all, though, that division is so weak, and it got even weaker this week. That division is just a complete dumpster fire. So if the Twins could play above sea level baseball, that might be good enough.
Guys,
And I'm very impressed by the fact they've done this with Carlos Correa not being Carlos Correa either.
Right.
And so that's a positive sign. I'm more intrigued by the Twins this year than I have been in years past because I think that there's a legit 1, 2, 3 in that rotation with Sonny. And they're all capable of pitching like ones, too, between Sonny Gray, Pablo Lopez, and Joe Ryan. Should be good enough to I'm not going to say run. I still like Cleveland, so I'm not going to say run away with that division, but they're in very good standing right now.
How good is Sonny Gray?
We've talked about it before. He's been good everywhere except the Yankees. He's had an excellent career everywhere.
He doesn't like being told what to do. He's a very, very independent country boy. I think that's true. He had like a hard time with the Yankees, and then it took him a minute to like adjust back to when he got to the Reds. They're like, do whatever you want to do. Like, however you want to get guys out, get out.
That was at a point, and I don't know if it's changed, where the Yankees had a very specific philosophy for their pitchers, and that was ultimately what led to them going out and getting Matt Blake. But yeah, no, he's been fantastic for them.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, number 9's tough. It could be 3 different teams here, I think, right?
Yes. I feel like there's one. We're gonna lose. We might lose an audience of one city in America if we leave this team off. I feel like because we've been as skeptical as anybody with them, but
no, I mean, are you throwing a dart at the Diamondbacks?
No, I was thinking Pirates. Just because every week we keep saying, "Oh, the Pirates are going to regress. Pirates are going to regress." One bad week, and they're falling off the list. I mean, they were
a bad week, Chris. They got their shit pushed in. They got annihilated. They got decapitated.
That's true. Yeah. But there was
they've what lost? I can't put a team that's lost 7 straight.
Have they lost 7 straight? Really? Oh, yeah. I take it back, Klemmer. It isn't just a bad week. Holy shit. So who do you got then?
Well, I was gonna say the Diamondbacks are 4-1.
That's what I had.
I mean, they just keep chipping away with these series victories. Now at the time of recording, they're up two runs on the Nationals in the last inning. So this could go.
Yeah,
this could go horribly wrong. But as you kind of look at it, like, I don't really find another team that would stand out. I love what Klemmer's saying. Like, in a series, could they win the World Series? Zach Gallen is so damn good. He's at the top of all the leaderboards, whichever one you want to look at, across the league. I'm almost tired of talking about how good he is.
I mean, you also have Corbin Carroll in that mix as well. I mean, I said it when the season started. I think this kid could go 30-30. Maybe the power isn't there. Everything else is. When I say power, I mean just home run power. He's even hitting doubles. Corbin Carroll's awesome. I don't know, the Diamondbacks. You also could pick the Brewers here too. But honestly, I guess I would, if it was me, Carl, I would go Diamondbacks. But I think any one of those 3 is probably the way to go.
I'd go Diamondbacks as well. I think it was, I couldn't put the Pirates on there because of the week they had. I still, Diamondbacks are another team. I think ultimately, they'll hit a wall at some point, but that's not what the list is about. It's about how you're playing right now. And they've done pretty much everything right. I said before, I think Brett Strom is the best pitching coach in baseball. I think that's helped them out quite a bit. It's a good, exciting young core. I can't say yet if it's a really good team, but I know they have really good players.
Yeah, and they're only going to get better.
Yeah, they're young.
It started with the Marte extension. The owner came out and said, I'm sick and tired of getting rid of our good players. We can't get better if we keep getting rid of our good players, so we're going to start with this guy. Now, he wasn't fall baloney.
Then why get rid of your good players then?
Because, dude, you have to go through the process, man. They wanted to. He won a World Series championship, bro. And they were in the playoffs since 07, 08. They won an NLDS.
That was
Like,
1,000 years ago.
Sure, it was. But, like, each season, if I'm putting my shoes in the owner, I'm not justifying it. But if it's 2014 or 15 and you're in the Dodgers wheelhouse.
These guys all fucking pretend how poor they are.
Well, yeah, that's
I
true.
will say, hey, the Ken guy, whoever owns the Diamondbacks, is like a career MLB owner. All he ever wanted to do was an owner, and he got in very small and slow, and it took him forever. It's all the guy ever wanted to do. So it's not like he took mommy and daddy's money. This is a guy who he fucking maneuvered his way into the position. You fucking hate every owner, and you got a guy who just spends billions of dollars on his team. You're just mad because they suck. So we got like five. No, I'll do this. I'll promise this. I'll get off your chest. But we have like, don't do this to me where I don't want to do an hour. I'm fucking with you.
No, I'm just tired of these people who are not poor crying poor.
Yeah.
And then when they do something like sign a decent, I like Marte a lot. It's not like that, but sign a non-premium guy to a contract. It acts like they're like the rich, oh, so generous. Oh, thank you, Ken Kendrick.
Corbin Carroll just got extended for his fucking.
They did extend Carroll. They did extend Carroll. I
know that was a great move. Look, I just get annoyed because I see these teams that have a lot of talent that I think could be even better if they just, like I said, didn't cry poor all the time. But whatever. I mean, they also, the Diamondbacks are fighting with the city of Phoenix about a ballpark. I don't know. So much of it kind of stinks to me. I just think they hold the fans hostage, and I think more people should be yelling at these owners and taking these owners to task for being shitty. And like I'll keep doing it every week on this show, and I'll keep getting pushback, but that's fine. But I think it's wrong, and I think people should say, "All right, great, you signed Marte, you signed Carroll. What the fuck else are you doing? And why are you treating this city like this? And why are you being so cheap when you have the revenue? And if you are that poor, open up your fucking books."
Do you think anything would have changed the outpass? Like, go back in time over the last 10 years and look at the NL West. And do you honestly think there's anything the Diamondbacks could have done to be competitive against the Giants or Dodgers? There's 4 World Series championships that have come out of that division in the last decade. And you're sitting here telling me this guy's got to go fucking blow money when they're good now and he's spending money? I mean, like, be sensible, please.
So if the team isn't great and if they had a couple more pieces, could compete for a wild card, they should just punt it because the owner pretends he's poor.
So now we're saying the Diamondbacks were a couple pieces away from a wild card.
Not every year, but some of those years. They had Greinke during that period.
That's what the 2017 Diamondbacks seemed like they were heading in the right direction when they had Ray and Greinke and Goldschmidt. Yeah.
They made the playoffs in 16, didn't they? Was it 16?
It was 17.
Okay. I mean,
listen, they got killed when they moved Goldschmidt and then they extended Marte. If I understand those timelines correctly, they regret from moving Goldschmidt. Motivated them. I'm doing the best I can here, guys. What do you want me? It's so easy to sit here and say this cheap motherfucker doesn't spend money.
It's not that easy because no one else does it. The media just carries water for these guys. No one else takes these guys to task. They should never have moved Goldschmidt. That was wrong. And if I was a fan, I'd be furious.
And they got
fucking home runs today.
All right.
And they got fleeced in the Greinke deal too.
They did.
Do you want to talk about the Mets?
Yeah, I'm just pissed off. They had a horrible couple weeks before this one. They played Chris's raggedy ass Tigers. The Tigers stomp all over the Mets. Then they play the Rockies. They lose 2 out of 3. The only one they win 1-0. I thought they had a 13-game stretch. They had the Tigers. They have the Rockies. They have the Reds, and they have the Nationals. Like, here we go, 9-4. Let's go, boys. They're 1-5. Like, this is, I don't know what's happening. They had Joey Lucchesi out there starting on short rest today. He got knocked around. They played an ugly game. I sat and watched it. I got a little sunburn from it. I got Frank screaming in my ear yesterday about how bad they are. He's right. Meanwhile, it's just been a complete clusterfuck of a season. I don't know how you even begin to fix it. I am very frustrated. I'm very annoyed and angry with the team. Now, they do have 7 games left against pretty weak opponents here in the stretch. Maybe they can turn it around. Hopefully we're talking about them next week, but I'd be lying if I said I had confidence.
Yeah. I'll just make a quick comment about the Mets here. And, about the first series, the Tigers. I'm at a point now, and this shows how low expectations have been. I don't think they're that bad. Now, you don't want to get swept at Comerica by the Tigers, but I think that series might not look as awful. Like, to me, losing 2 out of 3 at home against the Rockies is way worse than getting swept on the road at Comerica. The Rockies are a aimless team. The one question I'll ask, man, I watched the Mets a lot last year. Is there any part of you that feels like that was their chance?
Well, that's what Frank keeps screaming at me every day. You're the Tigers series, though. We had Verlander and Scherzer in that series, and we still fucking lost. So that is worse than the Rockies
That's
series.
fair. I think the concerns about Scherzer are very legitimate to me. That's as flat as I've ever seen his stuff. Verlander's going to be fine. He did what Verlander does, few early runs. He settled in, fastballs at 96. But, I mean, that's a legitimate concern because I felt like the Mets last year until the last 2 weeks of the season were the best team in the National League.
I want guys DFA'd. I want tomorrow's an off day. I want Tommy Hunter DFA'd. I want Jimmy Yacobonis DFA'd. I want moves made. I want guys gone. I am so frustrated with this team. That's it.
I don't blame you. This year, I do not blame you. Expectations were sky high. If it wasn't World Series or bust, it was at least deep playoff run or bust. And right now, I mean, considering the fact that, as has been pointed out at this network before, the Braves never lose, you're building yourself a deeper hole by losing to bad teams. And those are the series you look back on at the end of the year and be like, that bad stretch really cost us.
It gets tough after next week, Chris. Yeah. Look at their schedule. We play the Rays, Guardians, Cubs, who are feisty, Rockies, Phillies, and then Blue Jays, Braves, Pirates, Yankees, Cardinals, Astros, Phillies, Brewers. Like, this is the stretch. This is the time to do it, and they're completely blowing it.
Yeah, times are tough.
I'm sorry. Phillies might get better too, so you're like competing against the Phillies to get better. And
the Marlins are pesky.
Marlins aren't bad, dude. I've been watching the
500 team. They have the best contact hitter in baseball.
Are you talking about Jacob Stallings?
Yep.
Has he caught every inning? You know what? Something came out that I thought was interesting that Chris alluded to. The Tigers are fucking hot. Okay, now we said this in the American League show. Go listen to it. Obviously delayed publishing. But I asked Chris off the top. I was like, if we get to 13-17, are we starting to feel magic? The record right now is
15-18 following the Cardinals series. They had a lead today, blew it, but if there's ever going to be a stretch in which you're going to see actual hope from me, it could be this one. They are 13-4 against divisions other than the AL East. And now Cleveland has been their kryptonite for the last 7-8 years, which, I mean, a lot of teams have. That's their next series. The division stinks. If you're 500 by the end of this month, I will honestly almost consider the entire season a success because it means you'll have played some meaningful baseball at some point this season.
Into Memorial Day.
Yes.
That's our goal.
Yep. That's all I need.
All right, Carl, your team played a wild one today.
Well, I mean, 15 innings. It feels good to get a taste over 3 hours. Keeping score is a nightmare. I going to games I liked going there to get a break and just sit there. And now you go to games and it's like, what did I miss? It goes so fast. So I've said this before. It's a better experience when you're watching at home. When you go to the ballpark, though, it is rushed and it is rushed.
I don't feel that way. I've been to 9 Major League games so far this year. I'm having the time of my life. It's been great. I love the quick pace. Do you
keep score? I was gonna say, I thought
this was a fun one today.
If you went to games at Wrigley Field and you could like walk around afterwards and before. I mean, I'm not like taking the bus to Citi Field and hating my guts. I'm walking down the street or riding a bicycle. But that's not the point. 15 inning game is the point. It's the longest game they played this season. Resilient. Matt Mervis got called up this week, so we like that. We're going to talk more about that in the National League show this week.
And we'll be seeing him live, Carl, this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Castellani is going to be in Chicago, so we'll be doing in person for the first time.
Yeah.
We're working towards that. I got to get better with the announcements off the top. We're going to a Cardinals game. They're 17-17. They're better than we anticipated. They still have miles to go. Mm-hmm. We'll get deep on the Cubs.
Only 2.5 out of first. They're 2.5 out.
Yeah, it's also early May. I mean, the standings are the standings. The encouragement is that, like, Nick Madrigal looks okay at third base, and Patrick Wisdom seems like he can still hit for slug if they're going to put him in a platoon role. You know, the catch and throw has become such an important thing with stolen bases. So maybe Jan Gomes and Tucker Barnhart, you know, aren't nearly as bad. And like, we haven't even mentioned the fact that Wilson Contreras is setting the Cardinals organization back a decade.
Yeah,
There's crazy things going on. So like, huge advantages. The Nico Horner contract looks like a fucking steal. The Happ contract looks like a steal. Cody Bellinger's back in MVP form. You know, there's a lot of exciting things. The gap between the next level that gets you to the excitement of like, all right, when October comes around, we're still not there, but we're so much closer than we were last year at the start of the season. So I just want to stay positive. And this is a positive week. Last week was a positive week. This is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, boys. We're putting it together.
Perfect.
I think we should talk Cardinals on Wednesday for sure. I think that team is just a fascinating team to look at. And the Wilson Contreras thing, it might be the most important or interesting stuff to come down the pike this week.
So tune in, subscribe to our stuff. This is the Power Rankings panel. We'll be back next time. Thanks for tuning in.